All right, let's get right into it. We talk a lot about manipulation, but what if we've been looking at it completely backwards? Today, we're going to unpack how manipulators really get inside your head. And trust me, it is probably not what you think.
So let me start with a question that might kind of flip the script on this whole topic. What if manipulators don't actually control what you do? I know, that sounds totally wrong, right? We think of control as someone forcing you to do something, but the real game they're playing is, well, it's a lot sneakier than that.
And boom, there it is. That's the secret. A manipulator's real target isn't your behavior, it's your feelings. They make you feel a certain way, guilty, scared, you name it. And then that feeling makes you do what they want. They basically get you to control yourself for them. It's brilliant and it's terrifying.
So this brings us to the first big idea, the emotional hijack. This is ground zero. It's all about how they turn your own feelings into a weapon they can use against you. So what does hijack actually mean here? Well, think about it. When you get hit with a really strong emotion, like a wave of guilt or a jolt of fear, the logical thinking part of your brain kind of goes offline. It's literally a biological thing. And in that moment, when your critical thinking is on pause, you are wide open to suggestion. You're vulnerable.
Okay, so how do they pull off this emotional hijack? Let's open up their toolkit, shall we? We're about to expose the secret plays they run to get you feeling exactly what they want you to feel. First up, we have tactic number 1, which is perfectly described as the invisible leash. It's the subtle way of keeping you right where they want you, without you even realizing you're tied down.
And what is that leash made of? You guessed it, guilt. Manipulators are absolute masters at making their problems your responsibility. You'll hear things like, well, if you really loved me, you would, or the only reason I get so upset is because you. They make you feel so guilty that you feel this desperate need to fix it, to prove you're a good person by just giving in.
All right, let's move on to the next tool in the box. Tactic number 2, subtle threats. And the key word here is absolutely subtle. This isn't about yelling or obvious intimidation. It's about what they don't say. This one is all about weaponizing fear. The manipulator just hints at consequences. Maybe they'll withdraw their affection, maybe they'll cause a huge scene, or maybe they'll damage your reputation. They never have to say it out loud. But that unspoken threat creates this constant, low-grade anxiety that has you walking on eggshells, trying to do whatever it takes to keep the peace.
Now, this next one is incredibly powerful. Tactic number 3, validation addiction. This is where they get you hooked on their approval for your own sense of self-worth.
You know how this works? It's basically like a slot machine. The manipulator gives you praise and validation, but only sometimes. It's completely unpredictable. And that random reward system creates this little dopamine loop in your brain that gets you addicted to chasing their approval. You become emotionally dependent, and once that happens, they've got you. They have control. The fourth tactic is all about disorienting you, making you feel like you're losing your mind. It's called the fog tactic, and its only purpose is to create as much confusion as possible. They do this by constantly changing their story, flat out denying things you know they said, and shifting blame. It creates this thick fog of confusion where you start to doubt your own memory, your own sanity. And who do you turn to for clarity? You turn to them, the person creating the fog, which just keeps you stuck and completely off balance. And that brings us to the final play in their book, the ultimate goal, really. Tactic number 5, silencing you. This is what they pull out to shut you down for good. And how do they do it? With shame. They take your perfectly normal reaction to their bad behavior and they label you. You're too sensitive, you're being dramatic, you're crazy. This makes you feel ashamed of your own feelings. You start to doubt yourself, and pretty soon you just stop speaking up at all. You've been silenced. Now, I know all of this sounds just awful. And it's really easy to think, how could anyone possibly fall for this? But here's the thing you have to understand. Manipulation often works because of your strengths, not because of your weaknesses. So yeah, why do smart, kind, thoughtful people get caught in these webs? The answer is heartbreaking, really. It's because the very best things about you are the exact things a manipulator looks for to exploit. I mean, just look at this. Are you empathetic? Great, they'll use that to make you feel guilty. Are you loyal? They'll use that to make you fear abandonment. Are you self-aware and willing to admit when you're wrong? Perfect. They'll use that to create shame and convince you that everything is always your fault. They turn your greatest assets into their weapons.
Okay, we've seen the playbook. We know the tactics. Now for the most important part of all. How in the world do you break the spell? How do you take back control when your emotions have been completely hijacked?
The countermove is actually a simple 3-step process. It all starts with awareness. Step 1. Just recognize that intense, uncomfortable feeling bubbling up inside you. Don't act on it, just notice it. Step 2. Put a name to it. Say to yourself, okay, I am feeling a huge amount of guilt right now. And then, step 3, connect that feeling to the game being played. Ah, this guilt? This is the invisible leash.
And this right here explains exactly why that works. Manipulation is like a magic trick. It only works if you don't see how it's done. The second you can see the strings, the second you can name the emotion and spot the tactic, the spell is broken. Awareness is your shield. And that brings us right here to the final question. The real power isn't in trying to fight them or outsmart them. The power is just in seeing. So now that you can see the playbook, the question is no longer about what they're going to do next. The real question is, what are you going to do differently?